Alright, so let's talk about the much maligned pumpkin spice ales in today's Road to BJCP. I'm Andrew, this is the Running on Beer channel. Big disclaimer, this content is not endorsed by the BJCP program or checked by them. If you have any thoughts, concerns, just drop them in the comments. This is category 30 of the BJCP guidelines, and there's 3 subcategories in it: spice, herb, vegetable, autumn seasonal beer, and winter seasonal beer. Now this is a specialty type category, so it's not a base style. It's expected to be like a modification or an overlay on top of a base style. You do have to declare a base style when entering, and that should be provided to the judges when they judge these beers so they know what they're looking for. This is one of 6 specialty styles. Obviously this one, the spice beers, American wild ales, fruit beers, alternative fermentable beers, smoked beers, and wood-aged beers are all part of that specialty type category, and all of those you have to declare a base style when you enter. So these beers, when you judge them, there's a couple important points. In the aroma and flavor, a lot of things kind of ride together in terms of how they're judged. You've got to have that noticeable spice, herb, or vegetable flavor. So if you enter a pumpkin spice ale, for example, you have to be able to get the aroma of it. You have to be able to smell it. You also have to be able to taste it. Now, it shouldn't be out of balance or overpowering. You don't want the spice or the herbs or the vegetables, whatever, to overpower the beer. You don't have to be able to pick out individual components of it. So for example, an autumn seasonal ale may have a cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg in it. You don't have to be able to pick out the individual spices, but it should taste like an autumn or, other sort of harvest, Thanksgiving type themed beer. And it should still be recognizable as beer. You should be able to say, this is a beer, not some sort of cocktail or something like that, or other alcoholic beverage. Appearance-wise, these should reflect the base style that they're in. So for example, if someone enters a pumpkin spice ale that's based on an amber ale, the color should be amber. It should reflect the amber ale. The clarity should reflect what's allowed with amber ales. So clear, maybe a slight haze, but still should be primarily clear with a white head. If the head doesn't stay around because of the addition of spices or herbs or vegetables, that's generally okay. It still though has to be able to be recognized as beer, of course, and it has to be recognized as that base style. Now, one caveat is ingredients that have a distinctive color should be allowed to shine through. So a coffee blonde, for example, is allowed to look like coffee. It doesn't have to be straight yellow, but it still should have the other characteristics of a blonde ale appearance. Mouthfeel wise, again, it should reflect the base style. So the carbonation and the body should reflect that. There might be some added astringency, and that's generally okay, but like a raw kind of spice or vegetable character should be avoided. Now, with the 3 subcategories in this group, there's autumn seasonal, which is 30B, it's the second subcategory. The winter seasonal, 30C, the third subcategory. And then spice or vegetable is the first subcategory. Autumn seasonals should generally be like an autumn or Thanksgiving theme. So like a pumpkin spice beer, the standard pumpkin ales that come out every year, kind of like this. Something that is meant to be like a pumpkin spice ale. Candied yams is also another flavor that the BJCP calls out, or any other harvest or Thanksgiving themes. So the winter seasonals should be sort of Christmassy or other winter holidays during that time period. I don't have much experience with the other holidays other than Christmas, so I apologize that I can't go into detail about everything, but the BJCP guidelines call out some pretty specific things. Christmas cookies, peppermint, English Christmas pudding, which I'll admit I've never had, evergreen, or mulling spices. And that one can kind of edge over a little bit with the autumn seasonal, but in general I think it's meant to be more Christmassy. Now, if it doesn't fall into one of those categories, then it's just the 30A spice herb vegetable. So things that are primarily vegetable, like say a cucumber wheat ale, that's definitely a 30A. Ginger ales, ginger beers, the jalapeno or habanero type beers are definitely spice herb vegetables. And probably one of the most common is coffee type beers. So a coffee stout or a coffee brown ale would be just a 30A spice herb vegetable. This can also edge into some of the pastry stouts, things like coffee, vanilla, cinnamon, etc. When you have all those things added in, that's where it's just a spice or vegetable beer, unless it gets into a winter seasonal type or an autumn seasonal type. So that's the spice or vegetable style, shorter video because it's an overlay style and there's not so many specifics. The vitals don't really exist for these because it's based on the base style guidelines, or the base styles that were called out for an entry. So if you want to see more of these, subscribe. There's more in this playlist. I've done a bunch more videos. They're right here. Cheers.